Now then, Atheist of the North, back again. A little different today. I'm asking if Western Christians and atheists should put aside their disagreements and unite against the threat of Islam and Islamization. Now, I've been thinking about this for some time, and I believe the answer is yes. We have to start facing some serious truths. The Islamic threat is real. Europe already has a huge problem, and it's only going to get worse under the EU. The problems spread to Australia, and it will grow in the United States. Do any of us actually believe that these barbarians see Christians and atheists as any different from each other? Of course they don't. We are both unbelievers and unclean infidels. We need to acknowledge that Western Christians and atheists have much more in common than they have differences. Most Western atheists are culturally Christian. They are either ex-Christians, or they grew up in a Christian family, or they simply grew up in a country which has a Christian heritage. And yes, that includes now secular countries. We share the same basic moral codes. We may disagree on some of that morality, and even disagree on the source of that morality, but we have the same basic moral foundation and principles that drive Western culture. And we are both equally under very real threat from Islam. To an extent, this is already happening in Europe. The atheist and Christian groups pretty much get on, and atheists do not receive anything like the discrimination that fellow atheists in the United States are used to. But I believe this partnership needs to grow, and it needs to extend to the US. We all need to be on board with this. Of course, there'll be certain groups on both sides who will be unable to unify with us. The far left Islam apologist atheists, the Catholic Church, and the extreme fundamentalist Christian groups. But these are, in reality, a very small minority. The Western culture that both Christians and atheists share is under threat. We need to unify quickly and make our voices heard. Our governments are not representing us. Our mainstream media are not representing us, and our educational institutes are failing us. The Christian community cannot allow the media to report on speeches given by the Pope as though he speaks for all Christians. He doesn't. He speaks for a minority of Christians, and we all know he's just another Islam apologist, and he talks lots of bullshit. There is a tendency within the atheist community to say that all religions are as bad as one another. But that simply isn't the case. Here's what Sam Harris has to say.
And it's easy to overlook very important differences among religions. I mean, one problem with a discussion like this is we have a word religion that is a suitcase term. I mean, religion is a word like sport. You know, you have a sport like, you know, Thai boxing, where people get killed and hit in the head with elbows and knees, and then you have a sport like lawn bowling. You know, what is in common between these sports apart from breathing? Not much. And yet they're both sports, and religion is like that. Now, by no stretch of the imagination is Islam a religion of nonviolence. Islam is a religion of violence in certain circumstances, and it is a great danger to us all that these circumstances can be construed with enough agility as to apply almost anywhere, anytime, to anyone who wants to die for the faith.
We have to be honest about reality. It isn't Christian suicide bombers we're all scared of. We're not under attack from Christian jihadists. It isn't Christians throwing homosexuals from rooftops and stoning people to death. On the flip side, of course, Christians need to accept that atheists aren't just a bunch of baby-eating Satanists who have no morals. Ayaan Hirsi, herself an atheist, has begun to attempt to encourage ex-Muslims who still feel the need for God to become Christians. It's not that she supports Christianity, it's just that common sense tells you that it's better for everyone if Muslims converted to a softer form of religion such as Christianity.
In your book, you suggest that Christian organisations head into Muslim communities and evangelise. Given that most of the Christian organisations that do evangelise are pretty fundamentalist, wouldn't you just be replacing one fundamentalist ideology with another?
I like the applause. And I want to challenge those people who are applauding how they think that they can challenge radical Islam in schools, in Muslim centers. You know, how can we win the hearts and minds of those 1.57 billion people to believe in something else other than what the radical Muslims are proselytizing, because they are winning the argument and they're working hard to do it. And yes, there are Christians who are radical. There are Christians who are, I wouldn't say just as, because they're absolutely not as violent, but intolerant and narrow in their thinking. But that is not the Christianity that I have seen. I know that there is also established Christianity. I had lunch this afternoon with Bishop Rob Forsyth. And the Christianity that he represents, the Christianity that many people like him represent, today is dormant. They are not going after that demography. They are not challenging the principles and the premises of the radical Islamists. And many people within that demography do not want to become atheists. That is a reality I've come to accept. So given that fact, there would be nothing wrong, and in fact, everything right, and maybe a better alternative to military wars, to bombings and law enforcement officials, to compete for the hearts and minds of those 1.57 billion people in every way we can.
We need to call a truce and join together. Yes, we're always going to have theological differences, but we can discuss that later on in friendly debates with mutual respect, just like we have done for years. But right now, we have to focus on the real enemy, the one who wants to destroy our societies and impose their own backward, barbaric systems upon us. So what happens if we don't? I honestly think that if we fail to do so, then we will be simply too weak. Together, we have a louder voice for the governments to hear. Right now, our governments, are using propaganda to try to bring the people in line with them. That isn't democracy. A government should be in line with the people. If we fail, we will only have ourselves to blame. As I've said before, Islam's coming to get you. Better be fucking ready.